Hi guys, I'm Bri.
And I'm Alli, and this is Offscript.
If you think about it, books are potential scripts for movies.
When this adaptation happens, typically it's disappointing because they went off script.
In this series, we will be talking about how off script they went.
All right. Hello.
Hi,
Welcome to Offscript.
a podcast where we compare books to their movies.
I have a very sad co-host named Bri.
Mm-hmm. And I've got a too excited co-host named Alli.
And we're here to talk about Breaking Dawn Part 2 with y'all.
We're at the end.
It is over.
I'm gonna cry. I bawled my eyes out when I finished the book this time, guys.
Aww.
I cry every once in a while when I finish the series, but this time it just hit me hard.
Sad. Just
I almost cried
reread it
when
again.
we watched the movie, but I kept making myself not. I was like, don't cry in front of them. You can't cry right now. Plus, I knew that Alli would videotape me crying for you guys.
I sure would. I was trying.
I know. I saw that camera come out and I was like, you're not crying. You're not crying. As I could feel the tears like welling in my eyes.
It wasn't sad. It was a really sweet ending.
But
Oh.
it's over.
I know. We'll get there.
We'll get back.
What?
You said we'll get there, so we'll get back?
We'll get there, like, talking
Oh.
about the ending.
Fine. Whatever. Be that way.
Okay. So, Season 2, Episode 14. Let's get going.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Our pictures. We watched the movie last night. And pretty epic.
Pretty epic.
It was a lot of fun.
I got to relive a lot of my premiere days.
Yes, I learned all the stories about the premieres you went to. And
Well, not all of them.
no, not all of them, but some fun
Oh.
ones.
I have a picture.
Uh-huh.
Last weekend was Comic-Con.
There you go. Okay.
And it was actually a really great Comic-Con. They moved it to a new convention center, and the new convention center is so nice. It's all in one building now, and you don't have to waste time walking to other buildings to get to different things that you want to do. But I now have a new favorite con pick and like celeb encounter
There you go. Share it.
because I met David Tennant. So now I've met all of the doctors that I would care about meeting. Though I want to redo my Matt Smith one still. But I dressed up as Dr. Crowley. Well, I was Doctor Who and then Crowley from Good Omens. And I went and I think David was going to say, he said, look at you. And I think he was going to compliment my outfit. But I was stressed because of how I interacted with Steve by not interacting at all. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're all by yourself. You have to interact with him. So then I cut him off and I apologized for having Matt's screwdriver and I handed it to him and he kind of looked at it, but I realized he was looking to try and get it to pop out. Cause I was like, sorry, it's Matt's screwdriver. Here's this. And then I was hoping if we could pose looking like the doctor and his companion, but running and holding hands. And he was like this. And then he threw out his hand to have me hold and I grabbed it and held it. And then afterwards I asked him for a hug and he gave me a hug.
Aww.
Yeah. He was really nice.
That's
Oh,
good.
it was hilarious because I went to his panel before my photo op with him. I realized that he is like diehard fan of all of his characters he's ever played. He loves his characters so much. There's an episode in Doctor Who where his doctor is dead and someone else plays his body and he's pissed. He's like, I should have been that body.
Wow.
You guys shouldn't have done that. So a fan asked if he ever figured out who played his body. And then he was talking about it and he's like, there are some times where it just happens. Kind of like in Harry Potter, that's not my hand when I'm casting the dark mark. And then someone came and asked him about the tongue licking thing.
Uh-huh.
But then they asked him about it to be like, was that like your decision? He was like, no, it was in the script because the kids had to piece together that Moody was Crouch, and so they had us both doing it so that
so stupid.
I know. I was like, girl, I knew that. But then I think it was her. She was like, I've noticed that you kind of have taken that tick with you. And he was like, and then he started looking for like his chapstick. Because this chick just called him out and said he was licking his lips all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. How awkward.
I know. And then like two fans later, a girl comes up and goes, I did notice that you have been licking your lips. Like this poor guy.
I know. Let me just call you out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah. And then because he plays Scrooge McDuck, apparently Scrooge McDuck is in the new Chip and Dale movie. And he was like, Scrooge McDuck makes one noise. That's all he makes in that movie. I made that noise in that movie.
He's so proud of it. Have you seen that movie yet?
No.
It is so stinging cute. It's just so fun.
Yeah.
I actually want to go watch it again now.
I love Tenet. Tenet's great.
He's so fun.
Yeah, he is. And then also right before his panel, so in Good Omens, a common theme throughout the whole show is Queen music.
Okay.
And so Bohemian Rhapsody is a song that gets played often in the show. And so before his panel, the DJ had the audience sing Bohemian Rhapsody, and like they split us up into two sides and had us basically like
doing the two parts.
Yeah, and trying to fight to see who was louder, and then sometimes we were all together, and it was great.
How fun.
And David Tennant got up on the stage and was talking and answering questions, and then a Good Omens question got asked, and he goes, honestly, you guys do not know how thrilled the creators of the show would be to know that you guys sang Bohemian Rhapsody. He was like, I was backstage and all I could think was, this is brilliant. This is great. I was like, he heard us sing it. And I was like, thank God it wasn't just me singing, because I can't sing for crap.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was a really good con.
That's good.
Yeah. And then I saw the Mark Ruffalo panel, and that made me a huge Mark Ruffalo fan. He's a great person. Love him. And then when I posted that on my Instagram, Kelsey commented, because he's from Kenosha, which is where she's at.
Okay.
And she was like, he's so big in, like, when they had all the Black Lives Matters movement, he would go and protest there.
Wow.
He would go when there were shootings and stuff. And he's very much a part of that community.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I was like, dude, I could tell just from his panel the kind of person he is. And like then and there, I was like, you're the best.
That's awesome.
Because a question got asked if there were any roles he would reprise. And obviously the whole audience was like, Maddie. And he was like, we all knew we were going to get there. And he was like, me and Jen would absolutely love to do another 13 going on 30. And he was like, this time it would have to be 15 going on 50.
Yeah.
And then he paused and was like, 5, because he's 55. Yeah. So.
Well, that's good. That's fun.
It was good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful picture painting.
I try.
That's good. All right. Shall we dive in?
Let's
get it over with. I'm just kidding. I really like this one.
Rude.
Okay. So, our synopsis. Bella wakes as a vampire from her life-threatening labor, and her newborn daughter Renesmee proves to be very special indeed. While Bella adjusts to her new state of being, Renesmee experiences accelerated growth. When the Volturi learn of the baby's existence, they declare her to be an abomination and sentence the Cullens to death. Bella, Edward, and the rest of the clan seek help from allies around the world to protect their family. I read it with no mistakes.
Good job.
All right. Author, Stephanie Meyer. Director, Bill Condon. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Screenplay writer, Melissa Rosenberg.
Good job, girl.
Okay.
Good job, guy. Good job, girl.
All right. The book came out August 2nd, 2008, and the movie November 12th, 2012. 4-year difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And which first? Read or watch?
Read.
I watched this one first.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Really remember a bunch of it, but I remembered some of it.
And I knew what she remembered, and the whole time I kept my mouth shut.
Oh, man. All right. So our initial thought. So this is just for part 2. We're doing initial thoughts, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's rushed.
Are you talking about the movie
The
or
book.
the book?
The book is rushed. I realize the book doesn't have a whole lot of, what is it, exposition, I think. Most of her chapters are talking about, in this month, this happened, and then this happened. And there's not a whole lot of conversations between Bella and characters. And that actually made me really sad this read through. Normally I don't care because I'm like, oh, she's a vampire. And so a good majority of the first few chapters are her showing us what it's like to be a vampire. But then it turns into Renesmee's accelerated growth.
Yeah.
So then we're accelerated reading almost. And
yeah, because when you read it, do you usually read it and take a break and watch movies? Or do you usually read the whole book?
I read the whole book.
So this really felt like a different story, right? Yeah, it really did. Like they cut it off perfectly. It really felt like a different story. And I agree. I was like, it's very quick with no results.
And I'm also not getting any like interaction with Edward. And like, you're a freaking vampire now. You should be talking to him more.
Yeah, it was very interestingly written.
Yeah.
It was still one of my tops.
Yeah, I love Breaking Dawn altogether. But
yeah,
this
I
read
agree.
through, I was like, okay, I have a qualm.
Yeah, I think, I'll go with that. I agree with all of that. Why do we pick it?
Because I wanted to be sad.
We had to.
It's the end of Twilight.
It's all over, you guys. That's it.
My heart. Do your fun facts.
Okay. So I got one that I'm going to wait until the end to share.
Okay. So then are you only giving us 4 at the start?
I don't know. Let's see how many I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, I have 6 total. So
Perfect.
Okay. So it's Alli's Super Fun Facts. Okay. Anyways, I love this one. Taylor Lautner practiced for months getting into character by going and looking at babies at the NICU hospitals. That's so cute. What a good, like,
What a creep.
I'm sure he got permission from the parents. That would be weird. Just go and stare at all these little newborn babies.
They're like, what the hell is he doing?
Dude, if my kid was one of the ones that he stared at, I'd be like, you can even hold my baby if you want to.
You want to keep it?
They turn 3 at one point, and they're just the worst. Okay. A major plot point in Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2, Bella and Edward become parents.
Yeah.
In real life, Jackson Rathbone, who plays Jasper, became a father between the premieres of the 2 films. His son, Monroe Jackson, was born... Jackson the 6th? V and an I?
Oh, crap, yeah.
6,
Yeah.
right? Holy cow. Was born July 2012 and co-star Nikki Reed, whose Rosalie is the godmother.
Oh,
That's so sweet. Cute.
I know that they're all tight. Like,
Yeah. That's
Jackson,
so fun.
Nikki, Ashley, and Kellen.
That's awesome. Okay, this one I wanted, with the information you were giving me yesterday,
Yeah.
this one was the one I was questioning.
Okay.
Okay, it says, every song that appears in the film and on the soundtrack is original and written specifically for that film. But you said they pulled from all the films.
Well, okay, so here's the cool thing about the score. They brought back Carter Burwell from the first movie.
Okay.
So he technically didn't write for New Moon and Eclipse. So he then had to go and listen to that or get the sheet music from them and include it in what he was writing for. Yeah.
And so all the other music was purposely written for this movie.
I like that a lot.
That's cool. I know anytime there was a soundtrack
Yeah,
question,
you're like, I gotta put
that one in there. Okay. Besides Mackenzie Foy, 10 actresses portrayed the rapidly growing Renesmee as well as a CGI animated baby. Dude, it was horrible CGI. I'm so sorry. I mean,
it was.
It was just bad. All right, and this last one. To protect Mackenzie Foy on set, Bill Condon had set up a swear jar. So any cast or crew members that were caught swearing or uttering profanities were fined on the spot. The amount they collected from the jar was donated to St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Cute. I bet your Rob donated a lot.
Probably. Okay. I'm going to save the last
you're
one.
saving. Fine. Okay. I guess we're starting this.
Let's do it. All right. So the book starts off. Bella wakes up from her transformation and she notices that Edward and her are the same temperature. And she can finally see how beautiful everyone is. And Carlisle's asking her about the transformation. And Belle's lying so that he believes the morphine worked because she's worried that Edward's going to be so worried. And I'm like, what the heck? It happened. It's over. Like,
well, because she knows that the whole reason he never wanted, well, there's a ton of other reasons too, but he knew of the pain. He knew what she was going to go through.
right.
And he didn't want her to have to go through that. So they prepared for it in hopes that it wouldn't. So she didn't want him to think that his plans had not worked. Especially
but then
because
there's Carlisle being like, awesome, we're going to use morphine from now on because it works.
You miss her thought?
No, she said I need to tell him at some point, but she never does in this book.
We can assume that she did because, again, they've made it quick, so she probably did at some point.
I guess.
She wasn't with Edward.
But still, I'm just like, okay, yeah, bummer. It didn't work, but it's over now, and you're not in pain anymore. Just be honest.
She was protecting her husband.
She's making bad choices. So Bella felt bad that she was lying, so she made a face, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry about asking questions. You know, you must be very thirsty. And then she's like, oh, wow, I really am thirsty. Mm-hmm. And so her and Edward go on a hunt. Yeah. But Alice is like, no, hold on. You need to see how beautiful you are first.
Because he gave me crap for not showing you on your wedding day.
Yes. And so she shows her, and she's, of course, gorgeous, because that's what vampires are. Mm-hmm. And she then asked to see Renesmee. And everyone's like, oh, no, she's part human. You can't see her yet. You need to go drink blood and figure out how to control yourself. And she's like, fine. And so, and then she learns also that Jacob's stuck around. And she's like, oh, wow. Okay, that's cool. And that's how we kick off.
Yeah, and that pretty much happens in the movie, except for the fact that it's only Edward who is in the room with her when she wakes up. And you don't find out about Jacob right away. Mm-hmm. But we get one of my favorite lines from the book, which is when Edward tells Bella it's her turn not to break him.
Oh, yeah, that was really cute.
Yeah.
I did love in the movie how, like, they did a great job of showing the vampire senses.
Yeah.
Like, her zoning into everything super close up and hearing, and that was really well done. I liked it a lot. Because reading it, I was like, oh, how are they going to do this?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It was cool.
I liked it. I like it.
Yeah. All right. So book continues, and they had to jump out of the second story window. And she's like, why? And they're like, because Jacob and Renesmee are downstairs. You can't walk past them. She's like, ugh. And of course, you know, Emmett and everybody's like cracking jokes at her. And so she's pretty nervous, but she does it. And she's like super graceful. And she's in freaking stilettos because Alice is psychotic.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, what? And so I love that Bella just threw him back at her. And then they go off and hunt. And this, I think, was one of my favorite chapters.
It's such a good chapter.
Yeah. It was like, it showed her and Edward. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, like, he's so happy because he's finally like, my gosh, I can do everything with this.
I can show you.
Yeah. And you're like here now, and you're my vampire wife, and we can do everything together. I don't have to have two separate lives. It was so cute. I really like this chapter.
I I want her to give me Breaking Dawn and his point of view, especially. You made me read Twilight. His point of view. Give me happy Edward.
Not depressed, sad.
Yeah, depressed. I have to keep her human, Edward. Give
Yeah.
me Edward who actually gets everything he wants.
Aw.
Give me Daddy Edward. I bet you he just thinks about Renesmee a lot now.
Probably.
He's like, oh, I love Bella, but oh my gosh, my kid is growing too fast. Oh my gosh, how are we going to stop this? Oh my gosh, the Volturi are coming after us for my kid. This is not okay.
Yeah. I mean, all valid parent thoughts.
It'll kill me to read. Give it to me, Stephanie.
All right. So they're going off to hunt, right? And so they get to a river and Bella has to jump over the river. But she's like super nervous because it's a really like big river. And then she hears laughing at the house. So Emmett's laughing. And then she hears Jacob laughing. She's like, oh my gosh, Jacob's even watching me. But she does it. She jumps across the river and they go hunting. They smell a deer and they go get the deer. But then all of a sudden she smells something so sweet. And she turns on the spot and goes racing off to humans. And Edward's freaking out. Could you imagine if she did? Like Edward was not watching her and then they'd have to book it and leave. Because they broke the rules for the werewolves and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Is the treaty still on, even though they bit Bella? The rest of the treaty's on, right? It was like Bella was the only exception.
Probably. But it's kind of weird now because Jacob's on their side, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Because as we'll find out, Alice still needed escorting across
true.
the bush, right?
But I think that's probably just on that side.
Just on Sam's turf.
Yeah.
Anyways, thoughts. So she goes, and Edward's trying to stop her, and she starts growling at Edward, which kind of is what kicked her back. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I growled at you. And he's just like, you didn't kill him. That's so good. How did you do that?
He's like, wait, you stopped mid-hunt?
Yes. He's like, even like mature vampires can't do that. And she's like, well, it could have been someone I love. I don't want to hurt them. So the hunt continues, and she finds a cougar. And she eats it, and she gets,
Of course she likes what Edward likes.
Of course. And he's like, oh, it's because, they're carnivores, so they taste more like humans.
Closer to humans, yep.
Than vegetarians. What were they?
Omnivores.
No, herbivores. There we go. I was like, vegetarians, that's not what it's called for animals. What is it called? Riley's very disappointed with me right now.
They're vegetarians. No problem.
There we go. And so she's still hungry, and they go eat deer, and she's a total mess when they're all done. She has blood all over her, and her dress is torn up and everything like this. And then she asks to see Renesmee because she's like, it just feels like a dream. I feel like it didn't really happen, and I feel like I controlled myself, and I'm all fed. And Edward's kind of hesitant, but he agrees. He's like, yeah, okay, you do have control. And he puts his shirt over her because her dress is so torn up.
Wish I did that because then he would have been walking around without a shirt.
I'm sure he was like, I don't want to work out for another 6 months.
Exactly. He's like, can we not have me shirtless anymore? That's basically how that happens here. Yeah, except for her dress isn't as torn up, so he doesn't have to give her his shirt.
It's like not torn up at all. She still looks beautiful.
It's a small slit on her thigh.
Yeah, it just looks like she was a skimpy little dress then. Okay, so they went back to the house, and Jacob met them on the border of the house in the forest. And Bella's shocked. But she's so happy because he's like smiling, and he's not flirting, and he seems back to her, Jacob, back to before he was a werewolf Jacob. And he asked Edward if he could test her with like, come on, Bella, come at me, like with a playful best friend attitude they have. She's like, I'm not going to fight you. And they banter back and forth for a bit. And then Jacob qualified her and was like, okay, you passed. And she's just kind of like, why? What's going on? And they go in to meet Renesmee, and she's like a couple months old, even though it's like been 3 days. And Bella's in shock, but she's holding her, and Edward tells the story about how she stopped herself from getting the hikers, and Carla's like, Edward.
I love that because Edward does it in a way to make it sound like Bella hunted him.
Oh, yeah, he kind of did, huh?
Yeah, he was like, we were on the trail, and then she caught wind of some humans that she went and hunted. And everyone's like, and he's like, yeah, it was pretty bad. I messed up. I should have checked the area, and that was my fault. And then Alice is like, can you just hurry up?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And so Jasper was like getting frustrated almost that like Bella had such control. And it was like interesting. But we later find out it's because he still has trouble. So the fact that Bella is able to control herself.
He thought it was something to do with just newborns, period.
Uh-huh.
And so he was like, Bella's going to have to deal with this too. And then she doesn't. And so he's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I am.
Yeah.
Who am I? What am I?
Poor Jasper.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bella holds Renesmee and Jacobs gets a little nervous. Oh no, then Renesmee puts her hand on her face.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when we learn Renesmee has a power and she can show Bella all her thoughts. So Renesmee shows her like her first memories of her being born and Bella looking like a skeleton.
Yep.
And so.
And then of her being thirsty.
Yeah.
So then everyone Edward freaked out. It's like, took her out of her hands and was like.
All right. That's why she's not holding her anymore.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, what just happened? He's like, she was showing you being thirsty. I thought you were going to newborn out.
So funny. But then Jacob started getting nervous. He's like, haven't we experimented enough for one day? Like, let's be, trying to take Renesmee. And Edward's like, don't take this away from her. And that's when it kind of clicked for Bella. Like, you imprinted on my daughter. And she freaks out. Like, she doesn't beat him up in the book.
Yes, she does.
Like, she goes to try and Seth gets in the way. Or does she beat him up a little bit?
So that part gets cut out.
What?
Because the chapter ends with, and then I lunged for his throat.
Oh, so we just don't know.
And then the next chapter starts, I'm so sorry, Seth. I should have been closer.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I guess
apologizing.
I took it as she lunged for him and Seth stopped. So she didn't get to beat him up like she did in the movie.
Yeah.
And so she's just so pissed. And I just don't get it.
I understand.
I get the point. I get the fact where Jacob's like, no, you can't hold your baby anymore. And to get upset about that.
Well, also, it's probably her being a little bit jealous too, to an extent. Like, oh, you imprinted finally, but of course it's on my freaking daughter. And then, like, let's be honest, that's weird. You were just crushing on me hardcore.
I guess, but my thoughts are like, if there was someone out there, one of my best guy friends, and he imprinted, and I knew what imprinting was, right? Like, when I was before pregnant, we talked, and it's like, it does not mean romantic love, right? It can mean anything, and he explained, was it Quill?
Yeah.
Imprinted on a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
And he explained it and everything like that. So I understood what it meant. And then to find out that because he imprinted means the wolves cannot get her, and I knew that they were trying to get her, I'd be like, oh, thank you for protecting my daughter.
What if it was someone who you had thought you were in love with?
Then I'd be
who
like,
was
oh,
also
you're
in
going to
love
be
with
in
you.
my life forever.
As my son.
I mean, not as right now. I have a couple of years to wrap my head around that part.
Only 6.
They didn't know that yet.
They didn't know how quick it was going to go either. Could have been 1 year.
Could have. But
I get Bella's reaction. It makes sense to me.
I don't know. I was like, come on, girl.
Plus, it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Because I love Edward.
Yes, it was. Edward was
hilarious.
Super funny in it. Yes.
He's like, I love when Jacob's like, come on, Bella, you know it's not like that. Do you think Edward would let me be alive right now if it were? And he goes, that's debatable.
And
then everyone's like, stop her, Edward, stop her. And he goes, no, isn't she incredible?
Yes.
It's fine. He said it's fine.
Oh my gosh.
Rob does great acting in this one.
Yes, it was really fun. I'm just going to finish off by saying that what really gets her going is when Jacob calls Renesmee Nessie.
Yep.
And she's like, you named my baby after the Loch Ness Monster.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nessie is such a cute little name.
Oh, I don't. The first time I read Nessie, before I even read Bella's response, I went, oh, why are they calling her that? It's after the Loch Ness Monster.
But even Edward calls her that.
I know.
Like everybody.
I hate when Bella does it at the end. I'm like,
I think silly nicknames are so cute. Like, if Tyler was a girl, we were going to name him Morgan, and we were going to call him Momo.
yeah, I wouldn't
Or
call
her.
her Mo.
It would have been a her. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So.
No, I hate that nickname. Come up with a better nickname, Stephanie, for Renesmee.
So we kind of touched on the movie, but
Yeah, that's really... Oh, well, things kind of diverge.
okay.
It's a little bit... The movie's just a little bit different than the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they, again, still hit a bunch of the main things, and they did great at picking what to leave out and what to not leave out. But things are kind of in odd order.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the scene where Bella and Jacob are fighting because she's pissed he imprinted on Renesmee, she steps into the sun and is excited that she's sparkly. And honestly, it's the best sparkle of the whole entire series. And we only see it for like 2 seconds. Ugh. And then they go into the house and Jacob's eating a sandwich and the phone rings and we find out it's Charlie. And we find out that he's been calling 2 times every day for the last 2 days because Bella's been out of it. And so they're like, we're going to have to tell him soon that you didn't make it. And it's like, yeah, it really sucks. I like this place. And Jacob's like, what? You're leaving? And they're like, well, yeah, because we can't stick around if Bella's supposed to be dead. He's like, and he comes up with an idea. And he gets on his bike. And he drives to Charlie. My note here is that I really love the score for this movie because the score of the movie takes the score of previous movies and uses them in spots like right here. As Jacob is driving to Charlie, it uses New Moon score. Mm-hmm. And then when they're about to be battling, they use the Eclipse score. Mm-hmm. And when it's pertinent to Bella and Edward's story, it's Bella's lullaby that gets played. And I love how they did that. It's so good. Mm-hmm. The score in this one gets me every time. I'm just like, you did so good, Carter. So then we get a scene that in the book happens, but we just don't see it happen. Mm-hmm. And it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
So
it's
funny.
Hilarious. I saw this movie at the red carpet premiere in the screening room with all of the like creators and everything and all the tons of fans that were there. And I remember when I saw this, I got so excited because I was like, we're going to see this scene because I knew exactly what was about to happen. So then he gets to Charlie and is like, at first Charlie thinks that he's there to tell him that Bella didn't make it. And he goes, no, she's fine. She's fine. It's just that to be fine, she had to change. And then he starts taking his clothes off. Charlie's like, what the hell are you doing?
Put your clothes back on.
And then Jacob phases into a werewolf.
That was my favorite scene of the whole freaking movie. It was so funny.
It was the best.
Yes.
That one in my Emmett scene that I finally get.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm glad you get that one too.
Yeah. I was worried they wouldn't include that one. Because
Mm-hmm.
that could have very much so been not pertinent to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because in the movies, Bella never agrees to Edward to do an arm wrestling match with Emmett.
I think it's because they divided him up. So
Yeah.
they had extra time.
Yeah.
If it was all one, they would
They
not
would
have.
not have.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good job, guys. Dividing it up.
Yep. All right. So back to the book. As Bri read, Seth got injured from Bella attacking Jacob. He broke his arm, right? Or popped it out of socket.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And so,
Yeah, broke his shoulder.
yeah. Okay, that was it. And so they're just apologizing and everything like that. But then we find out
She felt bad about this.
So she felt really bad because she could have killed Seth. We learned that vampire venom kills werewolves. Like, it doesn't turn them. They die. It's poison.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's holding Renesmee again, and she's still wrapping her head around the fact that Jacob imprinted.
Mm-hmm.
And Jasper's still having a hard time. He's like still confused about all this control.
Because now now he saw it firsthand.
Yeah, that she stopped herself and all this sort of stuff. And they threw out a theory that maybe her special ability is self-control. Or maybe it's because she's been prepping for so long. And I'm like...
You guys think that's self-control?
Right. I was like, immediately like, oh, of course it's because she's been prepping. I mean,
Yeah.
every other vampire didn't get to prep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Didn't know what to expect, what was going to happen.
Yeah.
She knew all of it.
Yep. And so this is when she finds out that...
Including Rob's bad past.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I did just call him Rob instead of Edward. My bad.
So this is when she finds out that pretty much the whole house is calling Renesmee Nessie. And I just love it. So it's now nighttime. And of course, Bella's not tired because she's a vampire and she doesn't have to sleep anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jacob's passed out on the couch because he still sleeps. And Alice and Edward give Bella some keys. And they're like, happy 19th birthday. She's like, no. I'm 18 forever.
Yeah. Whoops. This scene comes before Jacob.
Yeah, it does.
Going.
But I was going to let you go.
My bad. I was really excited about Jacob.
And so Edward's like, okay, I'll wait to give you my gift until Jacob's awake because he'll appreciate it more than you do. And so Alice takes her and Edward to a little cottage in the wood. The whole family bought her a house for her 19th.
Built her a house.
Yeah, built it for her 19th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Mm-hmm. I need to go get me a vampire.
Must be nice. Yeah, seriously. And so, yeah, it's like the closet is like bigger than the bedroom and all this sort
Alice,
of stuff.
of course.
Yes. And so Alice leaves and they have all the super long vampire sex that they want.
Yeah.
And Bella's like, I never get tired and we're never out of breath. We could do it forever.
We don't need to eat.
Yes.
What is going to happen?
Why would we stop?
We would never.
And this is when Edward's like, yeah, Rosalie and Emmett like went at it all the time for 10 years. And then we had finally kicked him out. And Edward's like, that's why I'm so good at music and language. Because I had all this free time on my hands because I had no one.
Poor little virgin.
Oh my gosh. So funny.
The movie does this very well, which is funny because when this was coming out, I remember Kristen just saying, like, how do you show that vampire sex is so amazing when you're not a vampire? Like, what are you supposed to do?
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I know she did not enjoy filming that because she was like, how do you show that?
That's hilarious.
Well, could you imagine?
Yes.
Okay, so this is supposed to be really, really good. Go for it.
And you're not supposed to get tired, so you can't be breathing hard.
Yeah.
That would be really hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they did it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also just like seeing them as a couple.
Mm-hmm. It's cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Bella and Edward come back to the main house, and Renesmee is already looking like a toddler. Like, she's just growing up so fast. And this is when Emmett starts poking fun that they were having sex all night, which pisses...
No, that they weren't. He was like, how many houses did you break? What did you break down now? And she's like, nothing.
Right. So Emmett was poking fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that they were having sex, though. He was joking that they weren't because they came back. He was like, obviously you guys were just playing chess.
Oh, I thought he was joking it because what have you broken? Like they broke it during.
Well, that's it. Yeah. But then because she's like, no. And like stops him. He's like, oh, you guys weren't.
Oh, okay. I see.
And then he starts joking because they're still not gone and not being as bad as him and Rosalía.
Okay. Well, this pisses Bella off, which I mean, like, my in-laws and I were like, it wasn't a taboo subject with us.
Yeah.
So reading that she was getting pissed about it, I could see her being awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But pissed,
I know.
Pissed was odd to me.
And then gets the newborn vampire emotions.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it to her.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give her that then for the Jacob thing too.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
link that
That's exactly why it that. Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about that because she's so, that's the thing too, because she's so controlled in things,
Mhm.
but then she's not in certain things. And it's because she still has those emotions and she's
Yeah.
still trying to learn those emotions.
Okay. I'll give it to her then. So all of a sudden, Edward gets super pissed. Like, and everyone's like, what's going on?
Mhm.
And it's because he hears Jacob's thoughts. And he had told Charlie that he phased or showed him that he phased, and they're on their way over. And so this is that was the cutout scene that we didn't get as readers, but we got as viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking loved it.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And Jacob shows up, and everyone's like, what were you thinking? And he tries to explain. He's like, I did, like trying not to say, but basically like in the movie, he did it because he didn't want Bella and Edward all to go away. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Bella was bummed because she wasn't going to have a relationship with her dad. And she was like, but wasn't she still on the phone with him?
Up until she was out.
Okay. So she hasn't been in contact with him at all.
No.
Okay.
For what, 3 days now?
Okay. And because they were leaning to the you're going to die thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they were like, all right, so you're going to change here.
Which means you did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Jacob tries to explain why he did, and Edward told him that Bella is going to be in so much pain near her dad, and he had no idea, and he apologized. That's something I was bummed about in the movie. He never apologized, and he didn't look shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of just blew over. Like in the book, he genuinely was
it
like,
hurts for you?
he was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. So I wish they had done that. But give Jacob being a good guy. Come on. Bella won already with Edward. Team Edward already won. Give Jacob like some points over here.
I'll give him some pointers for sure.
So he explained that he phased in front of Charlie, and Charlie said, he didn't want to know anything else. Like, don't tell me anything. And Jacob told him that Bella's back. And Charlie asked if she knew about this. And he's like, oh, yeah, she, knew since she moved here. And he's like, oh, great.
Fantastic.
Yes. And he asked if Bella could turn into an animal. And he laughs and he's like, oh, she wishes. I'm so happy they kept that line in. I was like, when he didn't say it, when he phased, I was like, oh, man. And so, but eventually it gets said.
It gets brought back.
Yes. And so he shares that he told Charlie that Edward and Bella adopted a little girl, and it's Edward's niece. And Charlie got kind of choked up. He's like, oh, my grandpa now?
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie's on his way, but he doesn't want to know anything. He's on a need-to-know basis, he said. And Bella's still mad, but Jacob's like, but now I can love you the right way because we both have our people, so we're best friends forever. And Bella smiled. She liked that. That was so cute. And so Bri had already.
I was going to say my scene of this already.
Oh, did you say
happened.
Did you say what happened when Jacob came back though? No, I don't think we did.
Oh, no. So Jacob comes back, and Edward and Bella are like outside with him. He doesn't come inside and talk to the whole family. And Bella's basically just reaming him a new one. And it's like, what? You're putting him in danger. If the Volturi find out that he knows, he's going to die. Because she's always just worried about the Volturi.
Yes.
Which I was kind of sad because this movie doesn't ever. In the book, there's a scene where Edward stops her and is like, we've dealt with Volturi so much that to you they're bad guys and they're not supposed to be the bad guys. They are the good guys. It's just that to the criminals, they seem like the bad guys. And he kind of like smiles and is like, maybe we should stop being criminals.
Right.
And that made me sad that that's not ever in the movie. But that's way... Now I'm jumping. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, basically, that's... Yeah.
Now all the Bellas.
All the Bellas are here.
Yes. All the vampires are teaching Bella how to act human, which is hilarious to me because she was human like 3 days ago.
I know. Right?
And Alice got her some contacts because her eyes are friggin' bright red now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but she's like, the venom is going to eat through them in a couple hours. But that's okay because you need to get up for fake bathroom breaks and all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie comes and he's very hesitant, but he's trying. And he sees Renesmee and he asks how old she is and who she was and all this sort of stuff. And Edward has the whole story about how it was his biological brothers and they died in a car crash. So now they took him in and all this sort of stuff. He's kind of putting things together because Renesmee has Bella's eyes and she looks just like Edward and she has a freaking full mouth of teeth already.
Mm-hmm.
And like, but he's like,
and he's muttering under his breath like the months.
yeah,
Because he's trying to do the calculations to be like, is it possible that she had her?
yeah. And Jacob reminds him, he's like, it's a need to know basis. And he's like, you're right. So then he goes and he sits and watches the football game with Emmett.
Mhm.
Football, baseball, basketball, whatever game it was.
Yeah.
And
They don't, I think it was,
They just said the game.
yeah.
And he stays
Well,
for...
okay, so it's in September.
So it'll probably be football.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
He stays for like 3 football games and
yeah, he stays for a
He's
long
out.
time.
Mhm.
And
I love that Emmett turned on the TV because it had gotten awkward. And
Yeah.
so he did it realizing that they needed to have something
yeah.
to kind of make it also seem like they were all human.
Yeah. And so they both agreed we're not going to tell Mom anything. And so as they're like at the door, like ready to go, he's like, well, can I hold her? Like
Mhm.
Bella hadn't even offered to let him hold Renesmee. I thought that was hilarious. And before they had come over, was it Edward who told Renesmee, like, do not do your power?
I love that scene. He gets
Uh-huh.
like on her level and is like, all right, so someone very important for you is coming. And it's important for your mom too that we don't freak him out.
Yeah, so don't put your hand on his face. And so he holds her, and Renesmee has like this power that like everyone falls in love with her. Basically,
Mhm.
she's just like the perfect little sweet kid.
Angel baby.
Yeah.
How
It's-
could she not be when Edward's her dad?
Oh gosh. And of course, Charlie loves her.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Emmett was making jokes about their sex lives the whole time.
Mhm.
He kept saying he cheered when someone scored, and he was like, so "It's a good thing someone scored."
yes, and it was pissing Bella off. And anyway,
I wish we got more of those jokes.
I know. So how'd the movie do, Charlie? Charlie's visit.
Charlie comes and he wants to know everything.
Yes, I was so mad about
He's
that.
like, tell me everything. I want to know. And Emmett never turns on the game because everyone leaves her alone with him.
Mhm.
They,
what?
yeah,
What? Leave a brand new newborn around a human. Okay.
a human that she cares about that she doesn't
Right.
want to kill. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I did like seeing them teach her how to be a human. I thought that was hilarious. And then she like gets up and tries to walk to a chair and sits down too hard and makes it slide.
Mhm. It was cute.
Yeah. Then Charlie doesn't stay for like super long. He's there
Mhm.
for a little bit.
Was it Jacob who was like, Charlie, don't you need to go back to Sue or my dad? Is that how he ended up leaving, or that's another time?
That's another time.
Okay.
Because then Edward comes into the room with Renesmee and is like, hey, here's Renesmee.
Okay.
And then he doesn't hold her.
Right.
Yeah.
So weird.
But oh my God, Rob Holden even CGI fake baby.
Oh gosh. The fake baby was so bad.
It was, but man, what gets me too is seeing his wedding ring while he's holding the baby. I'm like, oh, you're so good looking.
Oh gosh.
I imagine that wedding ring is mine.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways.
It gets me every time. I'm pretty sure. So Water for Elephants came out before Breaking Dawn Part 2, where Rob was daddy. And so when I read, because I found out that Rob was going to be in Water for Elephants, found out it was a book, had to read the book first, obviously. So I read the book. And then I was like, oh, his character, he's about to be a daddy too. So I got super excited. And then when I saw Water for Elephants, that was the first time I saw Rob as a dad. And I was like, oh, it kills me. It's my favorite thing.
Okay, so now Bella gets back inside and she's pissed at Emmett for making all these sex jokes in front of Charlie.
This obviously doesn't happen because Emmett's not in the room.
Yes. But Edward's like, hey, remember that thing I told you to do when you were turned into newborn? And it was to have a arm wrestling competition with Emmett. So they do. They go outside and they have their arm wrestling competition.
Yeah.
And the deal is, if Bella wins, Emmett can never bring up their sex life again. And Emmett's like, if I win, I'm going to bring it up even more. And sure enough, Bella wins. And she realizes she's so strong. She just starts breaking the rocks for fun. And Renesmee thought it was so funny. She starts laughing. And everybody's like, oh, she's laughing.
Yep. So in the movie, the reason why the arm wrestling scene happens is because Jasper and Emmett are at the door as Charlie's leaving. And they're like, wow, you handled that way better than a newborn vampire should. And Emmett's basically like, are you sure she's even a newborn? She's too tame. Mm-hmm. And then basically Edward's like, you shouldn't be threatening the strongest vampire in the house. So then they arm wrestle.
Yep.
And the scene's so cute.
It's a fun scene. That was a fun one.
It's one of my favorites. Oh, wait, this is also when she goes into the sun to sparkle.
I thought so. I was like, I think that happens later, but I wasn't 100%.
Nope, it does. It happens now.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
But I was sad that Renesmee didn't laugh at this, because then Renesmee kept wanting her to do it more. And so she like got her a piece of the rock and was like, here, you do it.
Mm-hmm. It's cute.
Yeah.
So
it was a cute scene between Edward and Bella and Renesmee. All their scenes in this book kills me.
Wayward.
Yeah.
All right. So this is where Bri went with it's going very quickly, because Renesmee is growing very quick. So she's like the size of a toddler. Then, a couple days later or weeks later, she's like super smart. She's able to read and talking and all, like growing. She's a little kid now. Like, it's just going and going.
I know that it like she obviously grows at a super fast speed, but the story also kind of went like that.
Yes.
And basically nothing happened, even though a lot happened.
Yeah. And so all the vampires are trying to figure out how to stop her from aging. And so they're planning to go to Brazil, because they were like, oh, we have some friends down there that might know what is going on. And before this, though, Bella is like, I need to go to Italy to show the Volturi that I am changed, so they don't come check on us, because they sent us me a pretty necklace as a wedding gift saying, oh, I can't wait to see you. And so Bella and Carlisle are planning on going, because Bella's the only one that can't read, or that Arrow can't read Bella's thoughts. So Carl is just going to be like hidden away.
Yeah, he's going to hang out in like the hotel.
Mm-hmm. He's there just in case.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And so they went hunting before this trip. And so Renesmee doesn't like the taste of animal blood, because she's been, living on human extracted blood. So like not eating humans.
Donated blood.
Donated blood. That's the word.
Human extracted blood.
Some like horror movie wording right there.
There's a person in their basement that they're just extracting blood from for Renesmee.
Oh, so creepy. But Jacob's like, oh, we can make it a game. Let's see who can get the best thing, or the best, like
The largest
animal. And so they go and they play and hunt. And this is also when we find out that Leah is now Jacob's number 2, and Quill and Embry have joined his pack, and that there are 2 packs, and they get along fine. And Jacob and Sam, being both alphas, can talk to each other in their wolf form. So we learn a bunch about the
Wolves.
new wolf development.
Mm-hmm.
And so while they're hunting, Bella sees Irina, who is the Denali vampire that's pissed off about Laurent dying. And she looks pissed because she sees Jacob and Renesmee. And she darts away. And Carlisle and Edward, did they try and find her and calm her down? Or they were planning on it. But Alice is like, she's too far gone.
I don't think they were wanting to calm her down. I just think they wanted to like see her and talk to her.
Well, yeah.
And see which was going on with her.
Yeah. Because they assume in the book too that
it's the wolf
it's
thing.
because of Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the movie, they do a lot of montages to show the quick speed of time. Quick progression of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see a lot of like Renesmee growing and Carlisle measuring her. And you see Bella getting her necklace from the Volturi to be like, can't wait to meet you. And then they go hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But Jacob isn't in his human form in this scene. He's a wolf the whole entire time. But I think the reason they did that was to make it, because in the book, Bella assumes that Irina sees Jacob phase and then run into the like woods, and she's like, oh, that's what makes her mad. But I think in the movie they do it because it makes sense for him to be sitting there for a while as a wolf and for Irina to then be like, what?
Yeah. And they aren't hunting. They're
just hanging out.
catching snowflakes.
Well, actually, they were hunting. It's just that we don't see them hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Renesmee goes and catches a snowflake because she does catch a snowflake in the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Missed it.
And she brings it back to them to see. And so Renesmee like does a weird little, or maybe she like ran into someone's arms and then did a backflip out of them or something like that. But she does something that makes her look like an immortal child.
Mm.
So that happens, but then instead of calling Carlisle and Edward to come and look into it, Bella just runs after her. And it's like, oh, she jumped into the water. I don't know where she went. And then they go home. And then we get a good scene with Rob playing the piano. And he's got his kid sitting next to him.
No.
Yeah. And he's teaching her how to play the piano. Yeah.
All right.
Slash. Yeah.
Okay. So they're getting ready to go to Brazil. So, okay. I thought they wanted to go to Italy first, but now they're getting ready to go to Brazil. Or part of them going to Brazil, and then Bella and Carla are going to go to Italy first and then meet in Brazil.
Edward and Renesmee and Bella are supposed to go to Brazil to start looking into her stuff.
Okay. That's what I thought. That's not what I thought. That's why I asked. Okay. So, but then all of a sudden Alice has a vision, and she breaks something, and like everyone's like, what's going on? She's like, all the Volturi, including their wives, are coming, which never happens. And she tries to see why, and she sees that Irina went and told them about Renesmee, and everyone's freaking out. And they're like, we have to go stop her. And she's like, it's too late. Like, we're not going to catch her. And Alice has another vision, but she keeps saying, I can't see it. I can't see it, which confuses everybody. And she's like, I just need to.
Well, because Edward keeps like, wait, what was that in between the battle and this? Like, I saw a forest. What's that?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, no, nothing. And then he saw something else, and he went to ask her about that too. And she again was like, there's so much going on. I don't know what I'm seeing.
Okay. And so she and Jasper go leave. She's like, I just need to clear my head for a little bit. And then they're taking forever. And Jacob comes, and he's like, what's going on? And Bella's like, we've basically all been sentenced to death by the Volturi.
So in the movie, after this happens, after the scene with Rob playing the piano, Alice drops the vase and that whole thing happens. But Alice and Jasper don't leave right here. They stay with the family for a while before they leave. And because in the part 1, we didn't get the explanation which in all honesty, I'm okay with us not getting the explanation of the immortal children because we got Edward's backstory instead.
I actually think it was better put right here.
Yeah.
It made way more sense.
Yeah. So now is when we get the explanation of the immortal children and the story of the Denali's sister's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And Bella's basically like, Renesmee's not an immortal child. She grows every day. And they're all like, basically saying that the Volturi is not going to listen to them, though. And they're like, well, we have to make them listen somehow.
So they're trying to figure out what to do. And they're like, Alice is taking forever. She never takes this long. And then they start getting worried. They're like, what if the Volturi came and grabbed her or someone else? And so they go out and they're like running and they get to the Quileute land. And Sam's there waiting for them. He's like, Alice told me to give you this note.
The reason they get to the Quileute land is because they follow the scent of Alice and Jasper.
Yes. And
they're confused because they also kind of like ran in loop-de-loops and not straight shots.
Okay, yeah. And he said Alice met him up there with Jasper, and they asked him to take them across to the water. And she also said for Sam not to tell Jacob anything in his little wolf brain. And he has a note. And the note basically says, they're sorry, but we gotta go.
Deuces.
Yep. Go find more vampires. We'll try and send you some too. And everyone's shocked. So Bella gets this weird scent and she follows it towards their cottage. And she also had noticed that the clue.
Weird scent. It was Alice by herself, not with Jasper.
Okay. Yeah, that. But she noticed that the note was written
okay, Blue.
on. Don't jump on me.
Oh, he's going to.
I know. On one of Bella's books. And so, oh my gosh.
I even warned her. I said,
I
be prepared,
know.
it's coming.
Dude, my heart is pounding. Goodness. It's like so scary. His claws go in you and everything. Check.
Because what if he fell?
Shouldn't be jumping up on me.
Would you say that about a dog?
No, a dog wouldn't put his claws in you, though. He'd just fall off you and floop over.
I have definite scratch marks from all the dogs that jump up on me.
Yeah, but they don't put their claws in you. They scratch you.
That's putting their claw in me.
No, he like grabbed onto me.
Yeah, because he didn't want to fall.
Scary. He's going to do it again.
Yeah.
Bella assumed that the clue was just for her because,
like, clue.
This time it was a clue. The clue for, like...
Oh, now I'm with you. I was like, we're still on the note.
No, the clue is because it's like, why would she put it in my book? And, like, why wouldn't she think of it for Edward? Like, so she's trying to be, like, sneaky. And she goes in and finds the book where Alice tore out the page. And there's a note for Bella that said Jason Jinx in Seattle. And she had to burn the book right away. So she did. And...
No, it said J. Jinx.
So when she Googled it, all she found was Jason?
She found Jason and J.
Like,
because it was J. dot,
uh-huh.
but then she found J-A-Y and Jason.
Oh, okay. I see. Edward and Bella go back to Colin's house, and the vampires are all gone because they're all looking for friends to help them. And Jacob's playing with Renesmee and trying to keep her calm. And they're all coming up with a plan and then all the vampires start coming.
Mm-hmm.
And Bella sneaks into the back room. And she's starting to look up or they're not coming yet. They're coming up with a plan for when they come. And she sneaks into the back room and she looks up the address and the name. And she can't find a perfect match, as Bri just said, but memorizes it with her fancy memory vampire brain.
Mm-hmm.
Every minute Renesmee comes in, she just wants to snuggle Bella because she's snuggle her because she's super worried. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's so cute.
Yeah. In the movie, so Alice and Jasper don't leave, and the next day after Alice had the vision, they're all getting ready to leave. They're all getting ready to leave.
Uh-huh.
And Jacob then sees Sam walking up to the house through the back windows. And he's like, huh? And then Sam comes and is like, Alice told me to give you guys this note. And then gives Carlisle the note. And Carlisle reads the note to everyone. And it's Alice saying she's gone.
even though she was in the room?
No. Now she's gone.
Well, now she is.
Yeah.
But like she literally was just in the room.
No.
I thought you just said she didn't leave.
Yes, but then the next morning she's not there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
You would have thought I, just watched this movie or something.
Last night, to
Yep.
be certain. So then they're all like, what? How dare she? She obviously thought that we were going to lose.
Yeah.
And Bella doesn't, she like asks Carlisle for the note, but nothing comes of that until later in the movie.
It takes a long time.
Yeah. But it's because things are different with that whole storyline.
Yep.
So they then are like, okay, well, we still have to go out and do this to try and get witnesses. So then Edward, Bella, and Jacob and Renesmee drive up to the Denali's to go and talk to the Denali's. So they don't stay at the house and wait for them to come to them.
Mm-hmm.
They go up to the Denali's. And it's not like, I liked their whole spiel about Renesmee in the book better, because in the movie it just kind of felt like, okay, look, this is my daughter.
Yeah.
There we go. And then the Denali's, the first one that got convinced in the movie was Kate and not Carmen. Carmen was supposed to be the one who was like infatuated with her and was like, whoa, you can show me your thoughts? Whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But it was Kate who did it. Or not Kate, Tanya.
Mm.
And I think the whole reason this scene happened is just to show Kate got to show her power, which is hilarious because then a few scenes later, Kate shows her power again and then they explain her power. And I'm like, okay, but you already saw that Bella wasn't affected by it and that she threw her off of Edward.
Right.
Yeah.
So that has not happened yet in the book. Bella and Edward are talking about, the Volturi and how Jane is the most powerful because she can torture people, but Alec is basically just as powerful because he can blind you of all your senses.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a team tag, there's no winning.
Team tag?
Tag team.
There you go.
It's tag team?
Tag team.
Oh, team
Team
tag.
tag.
So Bella suggests that she takes him out. They're like, they can't control me. And Edward freaks out and says, no, you're not,
Well, the thing too is they're not sure that Alec's power can't touch her.
That's true.
But she's like, well, if Arrow and Jane can't,
Exactly.
Alec can't.
I'm that fancy.
Yeah. No one can touch me.
Yep.
No. Can't touch us.
Good job.
Thanks.
So Bella hears a car pulling up and a knock at the door. It's the Denali vampires because they came to them. And Jacob and Renesmee and Bella go back in the back room and Edward greets them and he's talking to them and he's like, okay, I need you to listen.
When you were reading this,
Uh-huh.
were you also imagining the Miller tree in for the different rooms? Nope, you weren't.
No, I wasn't. I
was.
was imagining the
How the
in
movie.
the movie. Oh, that would have been more fun to imagine.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was like, oh, he's leaning on those windows. He's leaning on the windows that we were sitting by for breakfast.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more fun.
Yeah, it was.
I also, though, had finished the book before
Oh,
we got there.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I finished it after.
Yes. All right. So Edward is talking to them and he's like, I need you to, have an open mind and listen. What do you hear? And they're like, we hear a heartbeat. One of the wolves is here. And they're like, yeah, but listen more. And they're like, there's a really fast heartbeat. And then he's like, what do you smell? And it's like a smell they've never smelled before, like half human, half vampire. And he tells Bella to bring out Renesmee. And at first they freak out because, as we learned, their mom died from an immortal child. And so they're like, no, you just heard it. You just smelled her. She's not immortal. And sure enough, then Renesmee does her little hand touch and they believe it.
She first convinces Carmen.
There you go. Okay.
And then the sisters.
Yep. And I guess
And that's what I just covered.
that is what you just covered. Thank you. And so one of the Denali vampires, which one was it? Had to work with the
the guy. Elazar. Elazar.
Oh, yeah.
Eleazar. Elazar.
Sure. And so he has insight on their different their different powers. And so he said that Bella is a shield.
He has insight. That's his power. His power is that he can tell what other people's powers are.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the Volturi liked having
Wanted
him. Yeah.
Well, that's a cool power.
Yeah.
And so he's explaining what, the different powers are. And so that Bella has a shield. Basically, she can't let anyone in. And they're like, oh, that's what she could do as a human. It's pretty lame.
I remember reading this the first time and being so pissed. I was like, this is her power? Out of all the cool things she could have got, this is what she gets?
It's like, it ends up being so overpowered.
It does, yeah.
It's like,
Bella's OP.
Way.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that Arrow has someone that's a shield on his team too, but they're like a physical shield. Like they can protect physical.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I guess Bella kind of can do.
No.
From like Jane and stuff. Oh, but she's more like no one can touch Arrow, right? Because I guess Bella protects from their powers, not from them actually coming in.
Yeah.
Slugging them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't her thing, she's a shield that kind of like just makes it so that people don't look at them.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Okay.
So like when they're wanting to fight, she uses her thing and they just kind of overlook them.
Yeah. So he also relays that there's now he can realize it's a pattern. The Volturi come and they're going to wipe everybody out except for the one or two people they want to join them as we spared you. But in reality, it's like they wanted to get rid of this group of vampires.
Anyway, and they wanted the power that this one person had.
Yep. And so they're like, they want Alice. That's why she left. And so now they're like, yep, we're all going to fail. That's why Alice left, so she wouldn't have to join them.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you keep going because
okay.
Basically everyone starts showing up now.
All right. So more vampires are showing up, and in the end they have 27 vampires from all over the place. And we get more details. What?
They do not have 27 vampires in the movie.
Are they supposed to in the book? I thought they were. I could be wrong.
Yeah, 27.
Okay. And so...
Well, 27 at the end of it, so technically 29.
Okay.
Because the Egyptians, Amun and Kebi, come but then leave.
Okay. So basically we're learning all about their powers, and it's just a fun chapter to see all the different vampire powers.
Yeah. Reading this one this time, I was like, damn, reading this chapter this time and knowing that Stephanie is writing more Twilight, I was like, I would love to get a book on any one of these characters. Like,
cool.
Show me what they do.
Yep. And
but
so
make them interact with Edward.
Yeah, well, she writes a whole book about a different vampire, but has no Edward in it at all.
I'll be so pissed. I'll be like, how can you make this in the Twilight verse and not have Edward?
Because they're vampires.
Better be with Edward.
So Renesmee uses her power and shows them all the truth. And so they're all like, oh, yeah, we'll be witnesses type of thing. And so Bella is practicing fighting, and Edward's not having it. He's like, I just can't imagine you fighting. It just hurts it hurts me so bad. And
well, it's because she asks him to practice with her.
Right.
And he at first is like, I love this scene. Because he goes to attack her to practice, and then he stops and he's like, I can't do this. I can't think about attacking you in this way. I think it's like, hilarious.
Just fight me. Dude, Cameron and I freaking fake fought each other all the time. But I mean, we weren't fighting for our lives.
And you also weren't vampires.
Yeah, that's true.
But the funny thing is, I was kind of sad that Emmett wasn't there to witness it, because Emmett in Eclipse was like, I really wish you guys could fight because you're the only one who'd get a fair fight in.
Yes, that's true.
What she needs, oh my gosh, Stephanie, next book, I need a scene with Emmett, Edward fighting, and Bella using her shield to protect Emmett's thoughts from Edward.
That would be good.
Yes, I just need that fight. That's all I need.
Do you hear that, Stephanie? Because we know you listen to our podcast.
Yes, you do. It'll get to your ears somehow.
So Kate, one of the Denali vampires, as we learned, has shock power.
Mhm.
And so she has been shocking Edward as motivation to help Bella like build her shield. And she's like, it's not working, so let me go shock Renesmee, which pisses Bella off. And then it did work.
Mhm.
And then we got some Romanian vampires show up. So perfect. I am so happy that she had some Romanian vampires show up because we got the perfect Dracula voices. And I was like, yes, you can't have a vampire movie without Dracula. And it was perfect. How'd the shocking go in the movie?
As all of the vampires are showing up, Bella and Edward are hanging out outside. Oh, because Benjamin.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So after we saw Bella and Edward go to Denali's, then we see like Rosalie and Emmett get Garrett, and Carlisle and Esme go to Benjamin and his coven in Egypt.
Yeah, I liked seeing them get everybody.
Yeah. And so you then see them each kind of interact with Renesmee a little bit. And so Benjamin's coming up to Renesmee and is like playing with the elements with her. And then 2 vampires show up who look creepy, but then, or like creepy just because they're like, who are they? And then they stop and it's the Amazons. And then they're showing what they can do. And Zafrina can blind you. She makes you see whatever she wants you to see, and it cuts off all your senses from everything. And Edward and Bella are sitting there and like, wow. Well, Edward's like, wow, this is so realistic. If you weren't right next to me and holding my hand, I would think that I was here. And she's like, I don't see anything.
I'd be so bummed. I'd be like, that would be a fun thing. Like,
No.
send me to the beach.
And then this is when Elazar comes and is like, Edward, you didn't tell me your wife was a shield. And he turns and is like, what? And then Kate comes and grabs her and goes, oh, yeah, that was on high voltage. Should have knocked her on her ass. She's like, what? And so then Garrett comes and gets shocked. And I love that.
I know, that was cute seeing both book and movie.
Yeah, I love Garrett and Kate's relationship. I think it's really sweet. And then they're like, okay, let's practice. Let's see if you can project it. So they just make it. Well, because I think Kate says something about, do you need some motivation or like someone to practice? And Edward reluctantly was like, okay. And then he goes to get shocked. Then he gets shocked. And then he is it the first or I think it's the first time. Yeah, it's the first time. So he falls over and then Emmett yells at him and goes, dude, you're not motivating her.
Yes, that's so funny.
So then he gets back up. He gets shocked again. So then Kate threatens to go get Renesmee. And Bella's like, you're insane. Don't do that. So then she's like, all right, well then this time it's going to be high voltage. And Rob's face.
I know, he did really good in this scene. It's so funny.
He like looks at her like, oh God, please
Save me.
And then he just sits there and is like,
He kept trying to tap Emmett in and everything like that. And I was like, no.
well, no, because then what happens is she does it. And he's like, wow, it worked. If the pain was manageable, like I felt it, but it didn't hurt me that bad. And she goes, cool, let's do it again. And he backs up and goes, Emmett.
Yeah. That's so funny. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes. I love that scene so much.
That was a good one.
Yep. And then I can't remember if this is when the Romanians come in the movie or not. So
They were outside.
in the movie, we get a scene with Jacob finding some new kids who are turning, because they explain in the movie that because there's so many vampires coming into town.
More people
There's
are turning.
a bunch of kids turning into werewolves.
And
So
they look like little puppies. Because they're little kids.
there you go.
Huh.
I was going to say, Jacob keeps waiting for the kids who are running through the forest to then phase, and then he teaches them.
Yeah.
And they were pups.
They were so tiny. But I mean, Jacob's supposed to be really big, too.
Yeah, because he's an alpha.
So maybe they really weren't. But next
Yeah.
to Jacob, they look like little puppies.
Yeah. So then, as he's teaching them to be wolves, they hear vampires running through. And Jacob's like, these two weren't invited. So then he phases and has the other guys phase, and they chase after these guys. And then they're like, oh, we heard that the Volturi were coming after you, so we wanted to be here.
Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We got our Draculas.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
All right. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll go because this scene like happens but doesn't in the book.
Okay.
So now that they've got everyone there, they're kind of trying to explain like what's going on and in more depth rather than just like, look, this is my child. This is Renesmee. So they're explaining that they're going to need witnesses for the Volturi. But then this is when Elazar explains what he knows about the Volturi that happened a little bit ago.
Uh-huh.
But then somehow, I can't remember who knows, but someone says that Arrow's also looking for witnesses of his own. So Elazar is like, oh, if they're getting witnesses, they're fighting you guys. Like, it's not going to be a civilized thing.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, when that got said, I was like,
I didn't even catch that.
they're not supposed to find out about the witnesses until the very end of the book. But
And
in
the
movie,
witnesses aren't even
there to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get a scene where I love Rob in this movie so much because he like stands up and is like, Carlisle's not going to ask you guys to fight. He just wants you guys to be a witness. But this is the Volturi just kind of being dicks. And we need to stand up for ourselves because if it's not now, it's going to be the next time something happens. And so I will ask you to fight with me because this is for my family.
Uh-huh.
My baby.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then everyone stands up and it's like, we will stand with you. We will stand with you.
Yep.
Except for Benjamin's, half of Benjamin's coven leaves at this point too.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Which they didn't leave in the book, but they were not excited that Benjamin wanted to stay, right? Didn't they end up staying with him or did they leave too?
They leave.
But Benjamin stays.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. There were so many vampires, guys. I could not keep up.
That's why in the actual book, Stephanie gives a cheat sheet that even shows like who they're mated to, who possesses a quantifiable supernatural talent, a bonded pair, and then deceased before beginning of this novel.
Wow. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So Charlie has been dying to see Renesmee because obviously he's not been allowed over to the house with all these vampires that are not vegetarian that live there. And so she's like, I'll bring, her to come see you and Jacob can come too. Jacob's like, oh, yes, thank God. Get me out of this stinky house. Mm-hmm. And so they go. And I love their little scene of them talking about like how creepy the
vampires are.
The vampires are. He's like, especially you can't like
Dracula
deny.
1 and 2.
Yeah. I was like, that's so cute. And so she drops them off and she's like, oh, I forgot, I have some stuff to do. And Charlie's like, oh, you need a Christmas shop? And she's like, yes. She didn't even remember it was Christmas, but she's like, yes, that's what I need to do. Mm-hmm. When in reality, she's going to Seattle to find Jay Jenks. And the address went to this like janky little place, and she gets out and talks to this guy, and he's like kind of flirting with her, like, cause he's like, she's gorgeous vampire.
Yep.
And he's like, Jay doesn't see and just anyone. She's like, please, can you call him and say that, my name's Bella Cullen. And the guy calls, and Jay's like, no, I don't see anyone, blah, 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 blah. And Bella's like, tell him my name. And he does. And then Jay's like, why didn't you say so? Like, send her in now. Why haven't you sent her in yet? And so Bella goes to meet him and in his office, and she realizes that he's a lawyer and he creates fake documents. So she had made for Jacob and Renesmee because she assumes this means Alice doesn't think we're going to win. And she wants Jacob to take Renesmee as far as he can. And Bella will be back in a little bit to grab the papers. So she goes back to Charlie's.
Yes. In the movie, after the whole we must fight scene, we get Bella and Edward in their cottage. And Bella's staring at the note from Alice. And then Edward asks if... Actually, I actually like the scene. The scene isn't in the book, but in the book there is a point where she starts thinking about how emotionally drained and tired she is. And she's like, if I could sleep, tonight would be the night where I would want to sleep because I'm exhausted. Not physically, but I've been training to make my shield stronger. I've been dealing with trying to figure out everything that's going on in life and everything. And so in this scene, Bella literally says this to Edward rather than just thinking it. And so I kind of like that she then like goes to him and is like, you're a vampire. You've been through this. Like, let me tell you about this problem that I'm in. And then Edward suggests a bath. And one of my favorite lines in this movie is Bella looks at him and goes, I'm clearly capable of taking off my own clothes.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, I just do it so much better.
It was cute. It was like a newlywed couple thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And because he tells her to go take a bath. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go draw the water for you. And then he leaves. And then this is when Bella finds her book with the J. Jenks note in it.
Yep.
Forever and a day later in the movie than it was in the book. So then after that, we get the scene where Bella, Jacob, and Renesmee are in the car. They have their little jokes about the creepy Draculas. But in the movie, Bella doesn't hint to Jacob. In the book, she hints that she's doing something, that this isn't just a hangout with Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Or she says, hey, Jake, you know how you can control your thoughts around Edward? And he goes, yeah. And then she leaves it at that. Because she's like, I don't really know how to go about like telling him what is about to happen because I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know much, but I know that he needs to not think about this. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That did not happen in the movie.
No.
She did not hint at that at all. She just drops him off. And when she's like, okay, I'm going to go Christmas shopping, Jacob kind of looks at her like, huh. And Charlie isn't the one that said that she forgot Christmas presents. But he does have a cute line where he looks at Renesmee and goes, man, you grew like a whole nother half a foot. And then he like stands up straight and goes, seriously, a half a foot to Sue.
Yes. 6 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cute. And she has not met him yet in the movie. Or has she met J. Jenks yet?
Oh, I guess we can get there too.
Yeah.
So then in the movie, she drives up to J. Jenks and she gets to a dinner with him.
Yeah, not in his office. And
Not in his office.
At a janky.
Not at a janky old place, but it's
A fancy
a
restaurant.
fancy restaurant, which you would also think would need to be planned.
Right? Yeah.
And he already has the documents for her because Jasper stopped by before he went on his vacation and told J. Jenks about his vacation and was like, but I need these documents made up. And they were a passport for Jacob and Renesmee.
Uh-huh. All right.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah.
I do think her going to a CD alley is a deleted scene, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't remember.
Okay.
So I think
That would
it
make
happens.
sense.
Yeah. But I think they had to cut it out to keep everything else in.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now it's Christmas in the book. And Edward and Bella and Renesmee and Jacob and all the wolves are celebrating at Charlie's. Right. They're at Charlie's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Bella got Renesmee this really pretty locket. And they go home and some vampires are arguing. And this is when, what's his name, leaves.
Alistair.
Uh-huh. And others are getting really anxious about fighting. And Bella, Renesmee, and Edward and Jacob all go hunting. Actually, or probably everybody goes hunting, right?
Yeah.
And
But those four are together.
yes. And Bella has like a panic attack. She's like, Renesmee, her power works on me. So what if, my shield doesn't work and I can't save everybody? And she's like freaking out. This is when Edward shares that he thinks that Renesmee has the opposite powers of Bella and Edward. And so what was opposite?
I think that's so cute.
Yeah. So whereas Edward, sees your thoughts, Renesmee shows her thoughts.
Yeah.
And then for Bella's opposite is that just she
projects and lets everyone know what's going on, whereas Bella
holds it in. Yeah. It was cute.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bella goes back to meet Jay, and he's like super scared. Like he was really nervous the first time too, and he's still super nervous. And I love when he gives the documents. He's like, "You're not gonna steal this kid away from her father, are you?" She's like, no. And he seemed a little less nervous, but he was still like awkward and scared. And she's just like, what does Jasper do to this poor guy? Because we learned that he has dealt with Jasper for like
many
20
moons.
years, and the person before him
I just said many moons.
many moons.
It reminds me of New Girl when she gets pissed at because Cece and Schmidt are dating, and she just finds out, and she goes, 2 moons have passed.
So cute. And so when she gets home, she packs everything up, the documents, some money, the locket with a picture of them in it, and it's about time to go to that battlefield.
So in the movie, when they get back from J. Jenks, it's one of my favorite scenes where Bella is walking into the house, and Renesmee is a cute little kid who's excited to go see Daddy. So she runs to Daddy and jumps in his arms. And Edward picks her up and holds her while he's still talking to Carlisle and Emmett. And it's so cute. And then there's a scene where Bella's reading a book to Renesmee, and she asks Bella if Aunt Alice left because she thought that they were all gonna die.
Yeah.
She's like, no, don't think like that. Just go to sleep. And then it's Christmas at Charlie's, and I really liked the gift that they got him in the movie compared to the book because it made more sense. They bought him a fishing trip for him to leave so he wasn't in town when the Volturi showed up, whereas in the book they got him a sonar system for fishing, which is also a cool gift. But
I like the idea of get him out.
Yeah. Plus, I like are you guys trying to get rid of me or something?
Because it stops working.
Yeah. I love Charlie so much.
I know, me too.
So, I didn't tell you when I was at Comic-Con. This girl had a shirt on. I didn't realize it until I was walking past and after I had already complimented the shirt. But then it made me love it even more. It was a Charlie shirt, but it said Billy because Billy Burke plays him. But he was dressed as Charlie on the shirt. So I was like, I like your Billy shirt. And I walked away, and then I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing that this whole entire time on the podcast.
That's awesome.
I love that shirt is a thing. So then after that, we get the scene. Everyone's preparing for the battle the night before. And so they're all kind of like sharing their war stories and stuff. And Bella and Renesmee are in the tent hanging out. And Bella's in the book is like, funny, just in the springtime, I was here in this exact same spot with Jacob and Edward, and I was much colder. But one of my favorite scenes in the movie is Carlisle comes up and is talking to Edward, and at first Edward's like, I can't help but think that this is all because I fell in love with a human. Like, this is my fault. I'm stupid for this. And Carlisle's like, she's your mate. This is who you chose. It doesn't matter now. Like, she's family. And then Edward thanks Carlisle for the life he's given him.
I know.
And I think
that
was
was
just
cute.
so sweet. Yeah. So I like that scene.
Yep. I do like this whole scene where Jacob's like sitting down with the bonfire going. He's like, let's talk some war stories. And like, it's just like awkward.
Well, because then he like looks up and everyone's like standing super, super still. And he goes, Or just stand around looking like freaking statues.
Yeah. So funny. So in the book, it's battle day. They're standing in the field where Alice said the battle's going to happen. And they realize like 40 freaking Volturi vampires show up. But we find out that 20 of them are purely spectators. So the Volturi are outnumbered. Because not only do we have 27 vampires, then all these wolves show up. And this is when we find out that a bunch of them have been phasing like little kids. Not little kids, but like, 12-year-olds.
Little kids.
12-year-olds are phasing instead of, they're supposed to wait till they're like 16, 18 to phase. And so Carlisle starts by talking to Arrow, but Arrow's like, I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear someone who's like in the middle of all this. Edward, please come to me. And so Edward goes over to him and touch hands, and Arrow
touch hands.
Yes, and Arrow can see everything. And Bella figured out how to use her shield super good, so she's shielding everybody except Edward because she's like, Arrow has to see. So as much as it hurt her not to shield Edward, she's like, for this to work.
Well, but also she tested it to make sure she could shield him.
Yeah.
Up until he needed to not be shielded. And she's like, okay, so he can do this. But then the second he's not touching him, he's mine.
Yes. And so Arrow's shocked. He's like, oh my gosh, it's true. Renesmee is growing so quickly. And he's just like, this is incredible. And he calls to meet Renesmee. So Jacob, Emmett, Bella, and Renesmee all walk to Edward and Arrow. And he's fascinated. But his brothers, both of them are just Caius. Are very
just
upset.
Caius.
Okay,
Marcus does not give two shits.
He's
about
like,
any
why'd
of
you
this.
drag me all the way over here?
Yeah.
So Caius is very upset. And he's trying to come up with reasons that they need to attack these Cullens anyways. And Arrow looks at all the wolves and he's like, oh, I always wanted, some in my guard.
Guard dog.
Yeah, he thought this. So Edward answered it, right? He didn't say it out loud at first.
He mentions like, oh, they're unique or something like that, but then thinks about adding them.
Yeah. Okay, so then Edward defended the werewolves at this point. He's like, nope, they come on their free will. They are not, we don't control them or anything like that. And so Arrow's like, I need to speak to my brothers. And he talks with them. I guess I should keep going because this is where it's extremely different.
Yeah. Because that basically all happens. The only thing that I have of note here is the fact that in the movie, they don't make Bella OP. Because in the book, she just is shielding everyone and is like, yeah. In the movie, she still doesn't have quite the control over it. She tests to see if she can get to Edward with how far he is. And she can. And then she brings it back in and is like, cool, I'm good.
Yes.
But she's not shielding everyone.
Very true. Okay. And so now.
Until she needs to, because stupid Jane hurts Edward. And then she
one
shields
line
it.
in the whole movie.
Yeah. Pain. Which I'm also like,
dude, I want to know how much she got paid for this movie when she has one line.
Well, she had a lot of like acting.
Oh, yeah, she did. She had a lot of body acting work.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it's called, but sure. Okay, so the Volturi call Irina up because she's on their side. And of course, the Denali vampires are like, oh my gosh, my sister. And she sees Renesmee and they're like, is this the same child? And she's like, I can't be sure. She was much smaller last time. But I take full responsibility and I'm sorry. Don't hurt the Cullens. And just like that, Volturi kill her right then and there. And this flips the Denali vampires out and they like go to attack, but everyone's holding him back saying, this is what they want, don't do it, all this sort of stuff. We will all die if you do this. And Caius is still trying to get charges thrown at them and he calls to witness. Okay, help me with this part because I don't know if I'm right. Caius calls witness some of the Cullen side. Okay. And asks about Renesmee and they're like, yeah, she's been growing. She's, like everything's okay. Doesn't seem dangerous. She's very smart. But now that we've said our piece, we would like to leave if that's okay.
This is Benjamin's person.
Okay. And so then they take off. And so Arrow is trying to be sneaky. And he's like, oh, but we don't know what this child can grow up to be. And so maybe we need to take it out anyways. And this Garrett gives this huge speech about how, you know,
to the witnesses on the Volturi side.
yes. About how, like, you think they're just going to let you go after this? No, like, they're almost being made a fool of. You guys are dead.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
You're
now
gone.
that this is no longer what they originally came here for, they're going to find something else to attack us for. And because you just witnessed them attacking us for no reason,
you gone.
We have to kill you too.
Yep.
Or they'll have to kill you too.
And
I love Garrett. Garrett's
I know, he was really cool. I liked him a lot.
And I love that the movie keeps it in when he goes, the redcoats are coming. The redcoats are coming.
Yep. And so one of the Volturi witnesses, or a pair of them, I can't remember. A pair of the Volturi, like two of them or one of them, witnesses say they don't.
Two of them.
Because someone, did Arrow or someone ask them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you know, do you agree? What did he ask?
Oh, no. One of their witnesses turns to Arrow and goes, are those our only choices? Agree with you or fight against you? And he goes, of course not, Most Charming McKenna.
Okay. So one of the Volturi witnesses say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then they're like, we don't agree with you, but we really would like to leave. And so, of course, he has to let them leave. Otherwise, you know, crap's going to hit the fan. And then this is when Bella, like, is telling Jacob, like, the whole plan of, like, okay, as soon as battle starts, you take Renesmee and run.
And the whole entire book, one of the things that's not been said yet is that Edward knows that Bella's keeping something from him, but he hasn't poked and prodded to try and figure out what she's keeping from him up until this, when she's giving Renesmee a hug and then lets Edward say his goodbye. And he looks at her and goes, is this what you were keeping from me? And that, like, about breaks my heart every time I read it. I'm like,
know. It's sad.
Poor guy.
I know. And he calls Jacob his brother and his son, which is a really weird combination, but
what? Oh, no. I love that line.
I mean, I'm really happy like, they're in such good terms now that he can do that. I don't know. It's weird. You're my brother and my son.
No, I think it's just like, it's Edward acknowledging that at some point that relationship is going to happen, whether he wants it to or not.
Right.
And he's okay with it. Like, if I die today, I need you to know you are my son.
Okay.
Because what if he didn't know?
Yeah.
He died and then... I can't even say that. Edward does not die.
So Bella's shield is back up, protecting everyone, because all of a sudden... Wait, I guess we could do you up to here, this part? Or do you just want me to finish the whole thing?
I got me up to there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's basically from here on out up until a certain point, it's pretty much the same.
Okay. So Jane and Alec begin trying to use their powers against everyone, but of course Bella has her shield up, so nothing's working. And all of a sudden, Alice comes, and she brings another half-blood, or whatever they're called.
Well, so what's happening is Arrow then is like, okay, well, me and my brothers, we need to have a conference, and we need to figure out if we must press charges on the Cullens. Mm-hmm. So they turn to each other and hold their hands. Well, in Volturi world, this is when they start their attack. It's not them actually holding a conference. It's them having their people with powers fighting their enemies to debilitate them, so that when they come out of the conference, they're
it's
like,
already done.
Oh, what a shame. Yeah. Yeah.
What sneaky little jerks.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Jane and Alec try to do it, but nope, it's not working. And so they're kind of like freaking out a little bit. They're like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden Alice comes. And she brings another vamp. Okay, you take this whole part.
No, damn. Because so they're sitting there doing that, and then the three of the Volturi are like, oh, something's going on. So then they start talking a little bit more, and they're like, we just don't know what the half-breed is going to bring. We don't know what her future holds. We don't know what's coming on. So something has to be done about this. So probably. But then Edward's like, yo, can I cut you off? And he's like, or he says, Arrow. And then he goes, yes, Edward, you have something further? And he just says, first, if I could clarify one point. The danger you foresee for my daughter, this stems entirely from our inability to guess how she will develop. That is the crux of the matter. And Arrow's like, well, duh, yeah. And then Edward's like, well then, Alice, you want to come on out?
Oh, yeah.
Alice comes and flits to his side.
Remember that line, people.
Yes. Hold on. Let me. Then Alice danced into the clearing from the southwest, and I felt like the bliss of seeing her face again might knock me off my feet. Blah, 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 blah. Alice leaped lightly over the edges of the dissipating mist that lapped at my shield and came to a sinuous stop at Edward's side. I reached out to touch her arm, and so did Edward. Esme and Carlisle. Remember that.
At no point she goes near the Volturi.
I'm double checking.
Okay.
But I'm like... Arrow raised one finger to silence his brother, his eyes glued to Alice's face. Alice stepped forward lightly and introduced the strangers. This is Huilin and her nephew, Nehul. Speak, Huilin, Arrow commanded. Nope, no touching.
Okay.
No touching. Because then they speak.
Touchy.
Yeah, Alice does not touch Arrow.
Okay.
I keep going between Arrow and Arrow. I don't know how to say his name, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm doing the same thing. So, oops. All right. So she brings out this other half-blood, and he shares his story about how his dad was horrible and he's a vampire, and seduced humans, and to try and create a new breed. And all the women he just let die to get the kids out.
Yep.
And, so he has two sisters, and they all fully mature at 7. And the girls have powers, but he does not, right?
Mm.
Yep.
His sisters are not venomous, but he is.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, so the girls can't create new vampires, but
Okay.
he could if he wanted.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the Volturi are convinced. They're like, you're right. Okay. You are safe. And they all freaking leave. You do not know.
The only thing she's been talking about this whole entire series has been about the battle.
So, as mentioned, I have watched the movie first. I was pissed. I think I would have been pissed even if I didn't watch it first. Because, like, this whole book, like Bree said, how it goes, like, pretty quickly fast. The whole thing, besides the first 2 chapters of Bella being like, I'm a vampire.
Well, I guess because you also didn't get to, like, see. Because, like, when they finally meet up in the clearing, well, actually, I guess when all the excitement starts happening, that's what's left of the book. This is what's left.
Yeah, so I didn't get, I mean,
You didn't get to see, because when I read it the first time, I was like, a fight's not happening.
Right. I could have looked at the time,
Yeah.
but I chose not to, apparently. I was pissed. I was like, that was the most boring, anticlimactic thing in the history of the world. That was the worst thing ever. Horrible. It was basically like, Bella woke up from a dream and it was all fake and nothing happened. Like, that's how I felt. It was
Yeah.
I was so mad. I have theories of what should have happened. But you know what? The movie matches it pretty quick.
Yeah. Except for forever ago when this movie originally came out, the only reason I was okay with this change was because Stephanie, I swear, said that Alice actually, like...
Maybe you should tell what the change was.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So Stephanie said that because in the book, Alice and Aro touch hands, and Alice is showing what is going to happen because that's Aro's power and that's what he wants to do. That's why the big change comes and is okay. But as I just read to you all, she never touches his damn hand. So this whole entire thing is all fabricated. All fabricated. Also, how the hell is this whole entire vision happening with werewolves?
Yep.
But anyways, So Alice in the movie comes out, goes to Aro, and gives him her hand. And then we go into a vision, you guys. It's a huge ass battle that starts with.
But we don't know it's a vision.
No. We don't know it's a vision.
That's a key.
Yes. And it starts with Carlisle dying, getting his head ripped off.
Okay, so this part. So remember, Cameron and I, not Twilight fans, right? We went and saw this for our horrible Valentine's Day movie. We're sitting there watching this. And up to this whole point, it's been, slow because nothing's been happening. Could you imagine if we went and saw this and there was no battle? Dude, oh my gosh. Anyways, and then all of a sudden, because it's quick, it's like you don't see it happen until Aro's holding his head.
Yep.
And we were just like, oh my, like we had giant smiles on our face because we thought it was the funniest thing ever. Like, oh my gosh, that's like savage. That was insane. And that's where my head was at. Where was yours at, Bri?
I was at the Los Angeles red carpet premiere, loving my life, enjoying the fact that I was watching the movie like 2 weeks before anyone else, and loving that I got to be there with all the creators. And I was so happy with how perfect it was going. And I was like, this is like, there's changes, but there's changes I can live with. And then I knew, because while promoting this movie, everyone kept saying there was a big twist coming and to be prepared for the twist. But I was like, the twist can't be that big, because they said like there has to be some excitement in this movie because there's a whole lot of no excitement in the book. And so I was like, okay, I'll trust their twist. They have not done me wrong yet. That should be fine. And then when Carlisle's head got ripped off, I had last night looked up how many seats there are at LA Live, and there are 774, and probably about 600 people at that point in time all screamed as loud as we could, no. And I jumped out of my seat. I was so pissed. I had my book that like people had been signing, and I almost threw it. I was so mad. I couldn't believe. And because in the previews, they showed the battle. And I was like, okay, obviously they're going to have a battle. And they kept showing Rob like falling in a cliff. And I was like, yeah, but he doesn't die. So it'll be fine. But then when Carlisle's head got ripped off, I went, oh, they don't care. They're going to kill anyone and everyone.
They pretty much do.
Yeah, and then they killed Seth.
That was so hard.
And Leah.
Oh, that one was sad. Like, I don't remember all the wolves dying, but obviously they would die.
Yeah, it was Seth.
It was
Leah.
sad.
Carlisle, Jasper, Jane, Alec, Felix, Dimitri, I think.
Marcus.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, thank God, just take
Finally.
me.
Yeah, and they make it look like Rob's gonna go, and then he comes back. And thankfully, they don't even make it look like Emmett's gonna die.
We don't.
I could not handle that. I would have stormed out of the theater if they killed Rob or Emmett. I would have been like, nope, this does not happen. But then, after the battle, Alice, because Aro dies, and so how it comes back from that is you go with his head getting burned, and then the next thing you see is his face in shock. And then you look at Alice, and then it all clicks, and you go, that was a vision. The whole entire theater went, what? And then started laughing.
Dude, I would have loved to have been one of the producers or like anyone.
I think we also started to clap. I think we
you
were
would
super
have to.
worried. And so we're like, oh, good job. You didn't kill anyone, but you gave us a scare and you got us good.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. I really liked it.
I hated it. Nope. I get why they had to do it, but did you really have to kill people?
They didn't, though.
But they did.
It's better than how I think the book should have gone.
Yes, it is. It's true.
So, my thoughts. Here's how it should have gone. Well, do you want to finish the battle scene?
Well, that's...
Well, but then I finished all the way to them saying they won.
Okay. So then everyone cheers.
And then Volturi leave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because she then has the not immortal child, half-breed guy come out and explain his thing. And then Caius then is like, but they've taken up an alliance with the werewolves. And Aro turns to him and just slightly shakes his head because he saw everything that happened. I was like, no, we're done here.
Yes.
So then they leave. And then they all cheer.
Because they win.
Yeah, and there's hugs to be had all around.
Yep. So here's my thing. I was telling Bri, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, the fact that also that Bri is okay with how this all went. Because she's, as she has said, she hates the heroes winning.
To me, Bella is not a hero. To me, this is a romance.
Okay, but
novel.
So none of the Cullens are the heroes.
No.
Because you think the hero is a main character?
So when I think of a hero, I think of a hero's journey. To me, Bella's thing is a romantic comedy, not a hero's thing. So
comedy?
Not comedy, but like I see it as a romantic movie.
Okay.
I see it as the love aspect. I don't see the here's your battle, here's your triumph, here's how you have to fix it. Because her whole story has been from the get-go, I love Edward.
Yeah, and she's had a battle about it because he's left and the Volturi are after her.
To me, it's a romance story. It is not a hero's journey. You are with Bella. The character
I still think
you
she
are with
counts as the hero.
No. She's the romance. She's the damsel in distress.
Who ends up winning.
Because the damsels always do.
Because of the hero. And the hero ended up winning. Which is Edward. Still counts as the hero winning. You're over here.
Well, no. So I'm okay with heroes winning. Oh wait, no, here's probably what it is. Even though I really don't see this as a hero's story at all. Edward left her in New Moon.
Uh-huh.
She didn't win in that one. He came back, but he wasn't there. I don't like when what gets written is throughout the whole entire damn book, the hero keeps winning.
Okay.
When the hero gets put into a sports tournament and wins the house cup every time.
Uh-huh.
Or at the end of the year, the professor gives him all the points. So then he wins the house cup.
Okay. All right. How about this? I think Stephanie is wimpy.
Stephanie's writing a romance novel. In a romance novel, are you waiting for people to die?
Be a whole lot more entertaining than a freaking boring one that she wrote.
Hey. Let's go and reread Message in a Bottle.
Dude, I hate that book. But it's not because the hero died that I hate it. It's that it was so horribly written about the freaking widow life.
The hero didn't die in that one either.
Main character is the hero. It's always how it's going to be. But okay, I'm just going to skip to how I think it should have been written. I think that either Peter or Charlotte should have died. So I think the battle should have started and Peter or Charlotte should have died, which would have freaked Jasper out. And then either Jasper or Alice would have died. They were the one. I'm not saying kill all the Cullens. Like the freaking movie did destroy almost all of them, right?
No. Carlisle and Jasper.
Okay.
And then the wolves.
Okay. So just take out Jasper or Alice. Get them gone. And then, but it wouldn't be Alice because they wanted to keep Alice. So it would be Jasper. And then, go from there. But you don't have to murder everybody. I'm not a writer, so I don't know how it would have been resolved, but it would have been a whole lot more interesting. Or I think the book or the movie did it perfectly. Where if I had this whole battle scene, and then I find out it was just a vision, but I still got the battle scene perfect.
But you
don't
can't
know.
do that.
I know. I'm not. I know. I don't know how it
Especially
would have worked.
Since
but
Alice can't see the werewolves.
I know it doesn't make sense at all. But that would have been perfect. The book was so freaking boring at the end. I was pissed. I'm just getting my 2 cents out there. I was so mad. I can't be the only one who was upset about that. Actually, I know for a fact.
My uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, this was my fun fact I was saving, which you basically have already said, but I'm going to read it because I think it's funny. The final fight sequence was supposed to be real, not a premonition, but the producer, a.k.a. Stephanie Meyer, demanded to stick with the book's anticlimactic ending. I just love that they put that in there. That's why I saved it. Bill Condon said
It is anticlimactic.
So anticlimactic. Said that he liked the grittier and darker ending. I didn't like this part where most of the Cullen family would die. But the author, Stephanie Meyer, disagreed.
What that probably means is that probably also means that Esme was supposed to die when she goes to fall in the thing, and so was Rob.
Mm-hmm. Disagreed and insisted to have the film her way. So my thoughts as her being the writer and everything like that and saying, no, they can't die, is obviously she's like, I might write more books and they have to be here type of thing. So I'm not saying I like how the movie did it where it didn't completely change the whole dynamic of the book, right?
Yeah.
That would have been, I would have agreed that would have been too much.
That would have crossed the line.
Right. And I was just so bored. I was so pissed. It kind of like, it almost like, I refuse to count this part 1 and part 2 as one book because absolutely loved part 1 and I loved part 2 until how it ended, and it kind of ruined the whole book for me. I was so mad.
I was not.
Well, obviously, because all your characters lived and had a happily ever after life. All right. So anyways, let's finish this book off.
Yep. Movie's basically done. There's only one last thing.
All right. So everybody's back at the Cullen house partying, and everybody's slowly going home, and we all learn about all the details that went on in Alice's head and why she did what she did and all this sort of stuff. And it's really cute because all the wolves are like accepted now by the vampires and vice versa. And we learn that Charlie and Sue are together, and Edward starts really complimenting Jacob and how awesome he is. And he's so happy that, you know, he's with Renesmee, and it's like he's happy that she has him. And Bella and Edward head home, and Bella's like, hey, I've been practicing something. And she let him see all her thoughts.
Yeah. And in the movie that happened, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Oh gosh.
In the movie that happens, except for it's in the meadow, it's just Edward and Bella. And she's like, hey, I've been practicing. And then she shows him, and then we see all the old movie clips, and we go back to Twilight. And we see all their first date, their first thing. I think it's weird that she shows them everything that happens in the moon.
We had to.
She shows when she was depressed. And then it goes all the way up until the end. And he's like, what was that? And she's like, my thoughts. And it's so sweet. And then the movie ends. But then they go and they give everyone their little shining moment at the end credits, which I loved because at the premiere, everyone from Twilight was there. Like, Barry Cobbler lady signed my book, who is at the very start of Twilight. She's the waitress.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like the ending and how it was just like, it was almost reminded me like the Oscars when they do like the people that have died. Yes. It was kind of like that. It kind of felt like that because it was like all over.
Oh, and then it also, they say the last line in the movie, and then it is the page is flipping. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was cool. It was very cute.
Yeah.
Ending.
It was meant for all the fans.
Mm-hmm.
They ended it to be like, this is, like I always say, Bill Condon made a love letter to the fans.
Yeah, it was sweet. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. In the movies, like I wish he would do the first 3. redo him for me.
Rob and Kristen wouldn't be able to play him.
No, they would. That would be awkward.
A different Edward and Bella for 3 of them, but then back to them for the other ones.
Awkward chemistry, hating each other.
All right, so IMDb cast. Oh, well, that's it. Let's start there.
Yeah.
We did it. It's all over. It's all sad.
I know. Yeah.
IMDb cast 113 people. We're going to talk about a couple.
And then we're going to go back and talk about a certain few.
Yep.
So we have Noel Fisher as, well, let's just do Noel Fisher and Gary Weinberg as Stefan and Vladimir.
Oh, the Draculas.
Yeah.
Who was the dark-haired one?
Noel Fisher.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like the other one. He didn't seem very Dracula-y to me. Like, not enough to recast because I have no idea who's Dracula-y, but yeah.
Disappointment.
Yes.
I thought they were fine. I also met him, Stefan, at the premiere, the one that Allie doesn't like, and he was nice, so I liked him.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. Joe Anderson as Alistair.
I don't really know what I was expecting, but he worked for whatever.
Yeah, he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Pace as Garrett.
I thought he was great.
He's perfect.
When I was reading it, I was picturing more of like a hippie type of guy, but then when he came on the screen, I was like, oh no, that's actually perfect.
Like, that's Garrett.
Yes.
Yep. Then we've got Judith Ciccone as the Frina. She looked like Tyra Banks.
She did. She was not who I pictured at all.
Yeah. I kind of wanted someone more wild, but I think that's more so makeup and costume department than her.
Yeah.
Rami Malek as Benjamin.
I loved him.
He was great. I ran into him at the premiere. I was going to the bathroom before the show and accidentally ran into him. And then I got his signature in my book.
Hey, sign my book.
Yeah. Yeah. And we won't talk about them. Okay. Christian Camargo as Elazar.
Yeah, good.
He was fine. I actually wanted to see. He was in Dexter, and I love him in that, and I think he's great in this.
Perfect.
Mia Maestro is Carmen.
Uh-huh.
She has a song on probably this one, because that would make sense if it was written for the movie to have her do it and Nikki and her then husband do it.
Yep, I liked her.
Yeah, she was fine. Casey LeBeau as Kate.
Yeah. She wasn't what I pictured at first, but then again, same with Garrett. It worked. It matched.
Exactly. She fit it perfectly. Mayana Buring as Tanya.
Uh-huh. I liked her.
Yep. I like her curls.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie Grace as Irina.
Yeah. I just recognize her from Lost. And that's all I was thinking about. And she's a horrible... She's not a good character in Lost.
Oh. I was just thinking she's Liam Neeson's daughter in Taken.
Oh. Yeah.
And so I just think of her needing her dad. But at the fan camp, she came one of the days to sign for the fans after breakfast. And where I was standing, I kept getting pictures with a bunch of the people. And she put her forehead, like when she went to pose with me, she just rested her head right on my head. And I was like, oh, hey, what up? So then I was like, Liam Neeson has been on my head.
Oh, okay.
His germs. Mackenzie Foy as Renesmee.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, she's sweet. I met her. She came in to the Starbucks that we were hanging out at the red carpet, and the night before the premiere, and she walked in and I almost didn't recognize her, but then I did, and my friends were like, I don't know if that's her or not, like that's kind of weird if we go up, and I was like, what's the worst that can happen? They'll say no, this isn't her, and I'll go back and drink my coffee. But then I asked her mom, I was like, is that Mackenzie Foy? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, can I get a picture with her? She's like, oh yeah, of course. And then Mackenzie like had overheard, so she kind of like turned and got ready for the picture.
She's so cute.
Yeah. Oh, we finally get to talk about Kellen Lutz as Emmett. I saved him for the arm wrestling scene.
I think that was a good choice saving him for this because he was hardly in it at
Yeah.
all, but
Yeah.
he did so good in this one.
I love him so much. I almost put him in Eclipse because of the did you walk and chew gum at the same time again, Bella? But then I was like, nah, arm wrestling match is when it's gotta be.
Yep.
All right. Taylor Lautner has Jacob Black.
I think he grew. I think all three of them
Yeah.
grew
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
much better as not only actors, but like into their characters.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he was his cheeky self. What did he laugh? Was it in the car?
Yeah. When he was talking about the Draculas.
And he just laughed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So cute.
Well, that
Wanted
laugh.
to melt.
That laugh actually, like, I think, I don't know how I know this, so this could be a total lie, but I think that laugh came from him and Kristen were just fucking around in the car.
I was going to say, it seemed like
And-
a total genuine laugh.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
wasn't even like a scripted thing. It was just them making their own jokes, and then he laughed, and they
Yeah.
were kind of like, "Oh, good thing we were rolling."
Yes, because it seemed like
Yeah,
it didn't seem like you could have faked that laugh. And I just loved it.
such a weird high pitched laugh.
I know. I think it's so cute. Oh my gosh. No, I loved him.
What if the first 4 movies I was like, yeah, they're fine, and then this one is when I was like, nah, I need to recast Taylor.
I'd be so sad. I'd be like, no, he's so perfect. I
Yeah.
love that, he has Native American blood in him. So like
Mhm.
they made sure to do their research with all that. And
Yeah,
I liked him a lot.
yeah, he did good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Mm-hmm. A good kid. Is he like older than us or our age?
No, I think he's actually our age.
31.
He's 1 year older than me. Rob's 6 years older than me. What up,
He's
Rob?
barely 1 year older than you. He is literally 2 weeks older than me, or younger than me.
you.
You called him a kid. He's a good
He
kid.
is a kid. Look, Kristen's 32.
Wow. I love that you just look up Taylor and then
it
all
pops up.
three of
Yeah,
them pop
and
up.
Taylor's.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, duh. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know why she's there. All right, Rob. It's Edward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely agreed. Like, same. Like, this last 2 books or movies
Mhm.
were
Mm-hmm.
when he shined.
It shined the best. I do think some of it was, I wish Bill had done all of it. I think the directors held them back too a little
Mhm.
bit.
Yeah.
Plus, I also think this was his only second big movie, so he probably had no fucking clue what was going on.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I think he did really good.
Mm-hmm. He did. He's great. Love him.
I
I'll
had no idea.
watch anything with him in it.
I guess you will.
I watched. I don't think I said. Maybe I did in Harry Potter. Actually, I think I watched Ring of the Nibelungs, which is on. I think it's on Amazon. I don't even remember what it is. It felt like a mix of like Lord of the Rings and Labyrinth and something else. But Rob's in it. But they use a different voice actor for Rob's voice.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
So it's him acting, but it's not him talking?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I watched this like literally right when I was getting big into him. So when Twilight first came out. So I don't even really remember the movie. I just remember watching like the first 10 minutes and going, this doesn't sound like him. And then I looked it up and I was like, because it's not him.
That's so weird.
Like, why would
Why would you waste money like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless like the person you cast for the voice is too ugly or not the right look. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like Phoebe. Smelly cat.
Exactly.
You won't believe it.
I just found out that is not my voice. All right. Kristen Stewart as Bella Swan.
She did good.
Mm-hmm.
She again grew.
Yes. I think for all the Bella haters out there that they need to sit down and watch this. Because I think this shows
Oh, the Bella haters or the Kristen haters?
kind of both. Because
Because I'm a Bella hater and I watched it. And,
No, not Bella hater like that. Bella haters who think that Kristen sucks and so Bella sucks.
Oh, okay.
Because of Kristen.
Okay, I see.
They should watch this because, yes, I do think that she grew as an actress, but I also think that stepping into the vampire role, she then dropped all of Bella's human traits and was vampire Bella. So to me, it just showed how great she was in this role because she knew the traits to keep as a human and she knew the traits to be as a vampire, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like the awkward, clumsy, biting the lip, all of that, that's written in the book as Bella.
Mm-hmm.
That people hate on her for.
That's true.
Go watch part 2 and tell me that she's dumb.
Yeah, I think she's good. She's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like seeing her as a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool. Is the theme of the book and the movie the same?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The characters stay same?
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Which do you prefer?
Movie.
I know what you're going to say.
100%.
Yeah.
Man. Really? Like, I was like, loving the book. And then that ending. So in reality, it's like, no, I was going to say it's close. It's not close at all. No, the end was the total, like, changer. Yep.
For me, it's close, but what tilts me is getting to see Rob be daddy. So I have to go with movie.
So that means it matched for me and it didn't for you. Because I saw the movie first and I liked the movie better. Yeah. You read the book first, but you liked the movie better. Yeah. Interesting. We're keeping track, you guys. So we're going to share that with you in our recap episode. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
See if our theory works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But also, when I read the book, I bawl my eyes out when I finish. And when I watch the movies, I don't cry anymore. I used to cry.
So that's another reason that it's a pro.
Yeah. Because
you don't cry with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. And that's it. But that's not it. Because we have our Twilight bonus episode. Comes out on Wednesday. So
yeah.
A couple more days. One more thing of Twilight. And then.
But I'll still bring it up. You guys know it. I know it.
Yeah, probably. Goodness.
We bring up Harry Potter all the time, too.
We do. But not like Twilight.
That's because I'm obsessed with Rob. You're not obsessed with any of the guys in the...
Just not obsessed with actors. That's what it is.
You don't want to work in film?
No, shocking.
You want to work with kids?
What? Can't be obsessed with that clientele. That would be... Get sent to jail pretty quickly.
You'd be Taylor Lautner in a NICU.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Anyways, you guys. So that's for Wednesday. But next...
Staring at babies?
No! Our Twilight bonus. Come listen. We talk all about our trip to Forks and
I really thought you were going to say Florida. I was like, we did not go to Florida.
Nope. But yeah, and so it's a fun one.
Yeah, it is.
And then
we ate some good food.
She talks about it 90% of the podcast. So
yeah, because I'm obsessed with it. I still need to make it for myself. Ooh, I have Friday off.
But anyways, and so then on Monday, we're back to
regular books,
regular one-off books, and we got The Spectacular Now.
Yeah, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. My hiccups are tasting like peanut butter.
That's the weirdest sentence I've ever heard.
What's weirder is I didn't eat peanut butter today.
That's super weird. You should go to the doctor.
Doctor, I taste peanut butter in my mouth.
Okay, we're going to leave you before it gets even weirder. So thanks for sticking around, guys.
Bye, Twilight.
Thanks for sticking with us.
We hope you enjoyed it.
If you did, we would greatly appreciate it if you subscribed, rate, and reviewed.
You can also follow us on Facebook at Offscript, Instagram at Offscript Podcast 21, and TikTok at Offscript_pod.
Shoutouts to Madam Ashen Creations for our adorable logo art.
And Adam Daniel for our incredible theme song.
And to Creative Cinephile Productions for producing our podcast. See you next time.